There they are. Fix up the desk a little bit for you guys. Pulled the camera back just a bit. We're ready to go. It's good to see you guys. We got a lot of people sick today, so we got some family sick, which is always tough. I've been feeling a little bit odd, but nothing crazy. Just sucks that that's how this works. With that being said, we got a really long thing to go through today. It is 6 hours. We're probably going to have to split it just because we don't have necessarily enough time to go through all that. So yeah, it just sucks. You guys know how it goes. I saw a couple of you guys said you were also sick as of recently. I don't know if something's going around or what, but just sucks. But yeah, we pulled this back, did some work on it, so you guys don't have just a tight shot on my face. So we are going to start with Doug Hart. We're going to pull him up right now, and yeah, man, I know this one's going to be hard. I think Doug's a really good guy, and we're going to get this done. I hate to have to split it up, but I think today it's just smart to not try to stay on too long when the family's not feeling good. So we're going to try to get that done. Let me find this video if I can. Let's not do that. Sorry. Give me 1 second. It was up on here and now it's gone. So give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, it's 6 hours and 13, which is definitely not a move for today. Let me go back. So, oh yeah, I forgot I'm wearing the Askcolbyj. I'm wearing the Askcolbyj for once. I had to put it on for you guys. That was a big deal. I haven't worn it since we got it, so we had to do that for you guys. All right, pulling this up. Like I said, 6 hours and 13 minutes is a long freaking time. So, oh, I got my box. So, like I said, we're really close to finishing this up. Yeah, we're gonna have to split this baby up between today and tomorrow, and then going into the next week is gonna be very, very, very busy. So it's gonna be hard to navigate. We're going to just do what we can and make it happen. Also, if you guys are feeling the hat, we'll make our own hat. I got some exciting news about all of the merch. I'm working with a company right now to make the merch like super, super awesome and high level for you guys. And yeah, I know the owner now. I met with him. So that's a big deal because I want to make sure that you guys have, really good merch that matters to me. I really like what we did, but some of you guys didn't get your merch for a long time. I didn't get mine for a while either. So I want you guys to have your merch and I want it to be good. So with that being said, let's jump into our first 3 hours. We'll see how long we can go. Yeah, next week, exactly, Brandon. Next week, it's going to be different. There's going to be a lot going on next week. So, thank you, Christine. I will fix that. I will fix that and get that done. It's coming. I promise. Just as long as, like I said, I was going to get this Askcolbyj hat. We're about to get that lion. We're going to be rocking that gold chain, baby. It's going to look good. All right, you guys know I love you. This is a long one. We'll be talking through it. This one might be really hard to listen to, so we'll see how it goes.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, can you introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury and spell your last name?
Yes, my name is Douglas Hart, H-A-R-T.
Sir, how are you employed?
I am currently employed as the Chief Deputy for the Canyon County Sheriff's Office. The sheriff is the elected official. The Chief Deputy is second in command underneath the sheriff.
How long have you been at the Canyon County Sheriff's Department?
Approximately 8 months.
Okay. How long?
Thank you.
Where were you before that?
From 1995, September of 1995 through September of 2022, I was employed as a special agent for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
What's up, Laura?
Can you give us a little bit of information on your background as a special agent with the FBI?
Certainly. I attended the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia, and graduated from the academy. My first assignment was to the Honolulu, Hawaii division. I was assigned to the organized crime and drug squad. So during my time in Hawaii, I specialized in long-term, complex, multi-subject investigations We did a lot of conspiracy cases. I got my first experience in homicide investigations in Hawaii. We had 2 homicides that my squad investigated that took place on military installations in Hawaii. After 5.5 years in Hawaii, I sought out a relatively unique assignment in the FBI.
Which was?
Wherever there is an Indian reservation, you will find a small satellite FBI office. At any given time, 2 to 3% of the FBI are designated as Indian country agents. That assignment is unique in that most persons' crimes don't fall under federal jurisdiction. However, for Indian reservations, the FBI, along
Judge,
with
I'm going to object to that. This is irrelevant information that he's giving, just to bolster his own credibility.
Well, Your Honor, his experience and access to direct investigations into persons' crime is relevant, and it goes to lay a foundation for the findings and observations he made as one of the primary investigators in this matter.
All right. Well, I understand laying the foundation. I think at some point the detail might become additional than we need for just foundation for this particular case, but I'll overrule the objection at this point.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So you were discussing about your
Hear this at some point, but he's the one that pieced it together with the dates for tightly. It's huge. It's a huge thing to catch. I mean, try reading months and months and months and months of texts, emails, phone calls. I mean, I guess you can't read a phone call, but you know what I mean? Like that he found one of the most key things that actually closed in the search.
investigative background in various Indian reservations.
yes.
What else? What other experience did you have as a line investigator in those territories?
So I spent 7 years on the Nez Perce Indian Reservation, working mainly violent crimes and persons crimes. I investigated a number of homicides and related crimes.
Where did you transfer? You said you spent 7 years. Well, you're with the FBI longer than that. So where did you transfer to after you went to the Nez Perce Indian Reservation?
In 2001, I transferred to the Boise, Idaho Resident Agency, where I was assigned as the supervisor for the Treasure Valley Metro Violent Crime Task Force.
What were your responsibilities as the supervisor for that violent crime task force?
So that task force was led and funded by the FBI. Our primary responsibility was to investigate gang violence and organized crime violence, drug trafficking. So I was the supervisor of the task force, but also an investigator on a day-to-day basis.
Where did you proceed after you were part of head of the violent crime task force?
So I spent 7 years in that capacity.
I don't really want to be rude when I say this, but it's so long. I'm going to see if I can skip up a little bit just to start the case. It's no disrespect to Doug at all. It's just this is a long
into missing or suspected abducted children.
Yes, several.
Okay. What was your role? Well, let's do it this way. What was the FBI's role in those cases in investigating D?
Okay. Well, they are separate exhibits.
Cox, other co-conspirators include style at iCloud.com, and then we display specific pages. But given some rulings of the court where we have the entirety of the actual documents that are part of 29 in the 2 exhibits C and D.
Okay. Well, they are separate exhibits. So still, I don't believe they've been offered and admitted. So for purposes of the record, before we begin any kind of publishing from them or reference, I think we need to go through that procedure.
Okay, Your Honor. May I ask the witness be shown States Exhibit 29C and 29D, please?
Yes.
Hey, Cindy.
Thank you, sir.
Sounds like we're actually getting into relevant case things right now.
Has a copy of this been provided to the defense?
Yes, in exhibit in August of 2021. That's the documents you were given in discovery. It's the iCloud accounts provided in August of 21.
Hey, Tina. Yep. Those are 2 major things, right? You got the ping and you got Chad's text that lowered the search. I mean, literally. That closed the gap. Scranton. I love it. That makes me think of Office every
Thank
time.
you. Agent, looking at, do you recognize States 29C and D?
I do.
How do you recognize 2 thumb drives?
On these 2 thumb drives are the copies of the Lori for Style at iCloud.com, iCloud contents, and the Lollytime at iCloud.com contents. My initials are on each of these thumb drives.
I'm really not sure why she named it Lollytime. That's not a Lori thing. That's not Lori's like nickname. Hers was Lolo. Lolly was her sister that passed away when she was a baby. And that's just a weird thought to use that name for your own Gmail. I don't know. That just I don't understand that one. Almost like it's like I don't know. I just feel like that's a little bit odd.
And you helped prepare those to make sure that you could make sure those records as part of the business records were the ones you looked at.
That's correct.
And you observed those. And the only thing on those two thumb drives are the entirety of Lori for Style at iCloud.com and the entirety of Lally Time at iCloud.com.
Yes.
C is Lori for Style at iCloud.com.
Yes.
And D is Lally Time at iCloud.com.
That's correct.
How do you know that?
Because I'm the one who made the copies of the thumb drives.
From the business records.
Correct.
And the thumb drives are marked.
Yes.
Move for the admission of States Exhibit 29C and 29D.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. We would object to any hearsay contained therein, and we believe that there is multiple layers of impermissible hearsay. So we'd ask the court not to admit those.
All right, what's the response from the state?
Your Honor, any statements of the defendant in her own words are being reflected in that document. Any statements of co-conspirators are admissible and not considered impermissible hearsay. So communications between her, Alex Cox, other co-conspirators, including Chad Daybell, are relevant and admissible and allowed before the jury. Anyone who is not a co-conspirator, their statements aren't being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. They're simply being offered to provide context as to what the defendant's response was. It goes directly to motive, intent, that there's absence of any mistake.
I'll say this. I don't think she thinks that she's reincarnated. What I think is that I don't know. She just because I don't think she thought she was, because she's had so many lives. Unless she thought she was Lolly, but then she was born after that, like right after that. I don't know.
On this issue, and therefore are highly probative and relevant.
All right, and could you, I know I've already asked this, but could you again explain to me how these tie into 29? Not a sub, but just the Exhibit 29.
Exhibit 29 was a certified business record. And at the beginning of the case, the defense agreed with the state that if we omitted the certification of the business records, that the state could produce various portions of those records rather than the record in entirety. We recognize that the rule typically requires that you admit the entire record with the certification, but because of the volume of documents that we've offered, we admitted select portions by agreement. These are the actual entirety of those business records. So in some respects, 29 as to Lori for Style and 29 as to Lally Time are more complete than any of the other business records we've done, because it's the entirety of those records. And so the court has before it the certification, and the agreement was that the underlying records came in and in fact have been used with multiple other witnesses, but not in their entirety, without objection. Nate Duncan, Detective Hermosillo, referenced by Detective Pillar. So these records have been referenced by multiple individuals, and now the state is providing the entirety of both business record sets to the court.
All right, thanks for the explanation, Ms. Smith. So the court's considered the objection of the defense on 29C and D. The court's also considered previous ruling allowing for the admission of Exhibit 29. Court will overrule the objection as it relates to the hearsay objection, finding that because these are the accounts of the defendant and the statements therein made by the defendant would not be subject to a hearsay exclusion, and those other statements in there, as noted by the state, would not be subject to hearsay also, as they are not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. Also, that there's been I think essentially a waiver of further objection where the information contained in 29C and D, where 29 was already admitted and multiple witnesses have already testified to information contained within 29. C and D is the entirety of that information from where that other testimony came from, that it would be appropriate to allow 29C and D, which is the complete version of the records, to be admitted. So for that reason, exhibits 29C and D will be admitted. And finally, also finding that this witness laid an adequate foundation upon identifying those thumb drives. So exhibits 29C and D are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And we appreciate that. And we would ask that the court require that the state or that the court provide us with copies of 29C and D so that we can review those so that they do accurately reflect what is purported to be on those. We don't have time to go through 100,000 pages of documents right now, but we would ask the court to give us this weekend to do that.
Okay, if they're obviously electronic copies, I believe, can be provided to the defense if they haven't already been provided, and those need to be provided to the defense before the state rests.
So would it be acceptable if we just tell them where in the discovery it is located? Because it takes a long time to copy these, and they already have it at least once, if not twice, in discovery. Happy to show them where to find it.
And, Your Honor, I'm sorry, may I speak?
Go ahead.
My concern is that they're going to introduce something that we may or may not have or may not be able to access. I would like the court, if it's possible, to make copies of that and give it to us, because I want to know exactly what's on that jump drive specifically that's admitted into this court for the jury to view.
All right, well, the court doesn't create exhibits, so the exhibits are admitted, but I will allow the defense an opportunity with the state to monitor also to simply produce copies of the electronic file
that's what I'm saying.
to those jump drives.
Okay.
Dude,
And as
I
I
don't even have a terabyte on my Xbox, which I wish I did, but I don't. But I'm just saying, it's a lot. It's a lot. A terabyte alone is a lot.
Granted, each jump drive contains a single file, but it's a huge file of electronic information.
It contains a single record, and that record will, of course, that's an iCloud has hundreds of technically different things, but they're all part of the one record.
Okay.
We can't pull out the chats versus the SMS versus the videos versus the MMS. We would have 100,000 thumb drives. So it's the entirety of Lolly time. It's the entirety of Lawyer for Styles.
Okay.
Damn.
Well, C and D are admitted, and again, the defense will be entitled
That
to.
whole thing, that whole email is downloaded. That's a lot.
A electronic reproduction of C and D to be provided to them, which I would think is just a matter of copying the file over to a new thumb drive that's the same size and giving them that the state can observe when that copying is made through the court's official exhibit.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
All right. If you want to continue then, Ms. Smith.
Yes, Judge. And just so that there's clarification, Mr. Wood is going to aid me in working with 29C and D, so he will be over here if that's acceptable to the court, getting that up and going, so people don't wonder what he's doing.
Okay. If he's there with technical assistance, that'll be fine.
Thank you, Judge. And I'm sorry to take things a bit out of order, Agent, but I just wanted to get that done sooner rather than later. You had indicated, let's back up just a little bit. Did you have any other responsibilities while you were the supervisory agent in Boise for coordinating with organizations, say, on behalf of behavioral analysis?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What is behavioral analysis?
The FBI has a highly specialized unit called the Behavioral Analysis Unit. They're sometimes referred to as the profilers. That's a unit that exists in Quantico, Virginia. It's comprised of actually 5 different sections: crimes against adults, crimes against children, terrorism, cyber and counterintelligence, as well as training and research. Each
San Antonio.
division or state in the United States has a
Awesome.
BAU coordinator,
BAU, Behavioral Unit.
Behavioral Analysis Unit
Your son, thank you for his service, for real.
coordinator. That individual is responsible for getting additional training in behavioral analysis and acts as a conduit when a state or local entity needs consultation services. The BAU coordinator does a triage of those cases and helps facilitate which cases are appropriate for the Behavioral Analysis Unit to look at. I was the BAU coordinator for the state of Idaho for approximately 13 years.
Wow.
So are you a profiler yourself?
I am not a profiler, but I have attended a number of trainings and conferences and have read a lot of material as it relates to behavioral analysis in criminal investigations.
And in that role, your job was to help facilitate and move a particular case through the process of getting a behavioral analysis where it was appropriate.
Yes.
Now, turning back to your work and assistance into the investigation of missing or abducted children, you indicated that there is a need for rapid deployment, and you talked about going within 24 hours. Is there a specialized unit within the FBI that handles child abduction cases on a rapid basis?
Yes.
What is that unit?
So we have a team called the CARD team, that stands for the Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. They've been in existence for over 20 years. They're essentially what we call a fly team. They are specially trained agents that are located all over the country, and when the child abduction takes place, they are deployable very quickly to bring their expertise to bear when a child goes missing.
Is there sort of a time limit on when you can bring in that rapid deployment team?
Well, their purpose in the immediate aftermath of a known abduction, their purpose is to respond. They don't take over the case. They're consultants. And so they come and they help the investigators ensure that all of the appropriate steps are being taken. Collectively, the Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Unit has responded to over 160 child abductions in the United States in the past 20 plus years. They are the world's foremost experts in those types of cases.
And so in this particular investigation into the disappearance of J.J. Vallow and or Tylee Ryan, were you able to work with local law enforcement on where those?
25th. So next Friday, not this Friday, but the next one, maybe. It's coming fast. And for all of you who are asking me the question if I'm going to be reading a statement, the answer is yes. It's definitely an emotional, hard thing, but I will be giving my statement. And this is the last time that I'll be doing that. So I think that I get to talk to Lori and the judge, and you have to balance that out. So those statements, you have to find a way to not be super personal while at the same time explaining the gravity. And it's hard to do it. It's hard to give a statement. It's emotional and it's taxing, but it's like we talked about, this is the end and it's a good thing. It's a good thing that it's ending. So just wanted to answer that question. It's going to happen and it's happening soon. So I'm prepping for that while I'm trying to make sure we get this done as fast as possible. You know, it's hard. I will tell you right now, I don't know if we'll be completely done. I don't know. If we need to just at least finish a little bit after, I hope you guys are okay with that. I would like to be further than we are, but you know, some of these are just super long and that's what it is. So if you guys are all right with it, we might roll just a little bit outside of sentencing and then that's it.
2 children were.
Yes.
And how did that happen?
The Rexburg Police Department conducted a welfare check for J.J. Vallow, and subsequent to that welfare check, the very next day, they contacted the FBI in Pocatello, who then called me. And so my involvement in the case started.
It's going to be Nate Eaton, Ray Hermosillo, and me together on a panel. I know a lot. I think I already heard tickets are sold out. I'm not 100% positive on that. But if any of you guys can actually make it, that would be incredible. So any of you who are coming, I can't wait to see you. And I wish we could get on the cruise and just hang out. But if you guys are going to be out there, I can't wait to see you. And if you can't make it, I'm going to be vlogging most of it. I can't vlog the speech. That's not a place that I can do that, but I'll vlog like the weekend and everything. And it'd be really, really cool.
On November 27th of 2019.
Okay. And did you partner with the Rexburg Police Department in looking for J.J. Vallow?
Absolutely.
And then ultimately looking for Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. And as a part of that partnership with the Rexburg Police Department, did the FBI request the assistance or ask the CARD team, the Rapid Deployment Team, to respond?
We consulted with both the Behavioral Analysis Unit and the CARD team. We did not ask for a CARD team deployment.
Well, why not?
We knew very quickly that Lori Vallow had lied to the Rexburg Police Department when they responded to do the welfare check. And within a short period of time, we're able to ascertain approximately how long JJ and Tylee had been missing. And due to the span of time that had taken place,
it's really hard.
It didn't fall under the parameters of a CARD deployment for those things that are done in the very immediate aftermath of a child going missing. So
you're a real one, for real.
Spoke with them. We obtained their advice, but we did not ask for a deployment.
And so you've indicated that you didn't ask for the deployment, but you also consulted with them and behavioral analysis?
Yes.
Why would you consult with behavioral analysis in this situation?
Because of their experience in a wide variety of cases. And so they have background and expertise that your average agent does not possess. And so when you have a complex, complicated case, we consult with them to try to get the best advice to help us as we proceed forward with the investigation.
So when you say get the best advice, does that mean helping you analyze evidence and assess and maybe reach conclusions?
No, the behavioral analysis unit will give advice. For instance, if we had a
Hope I get to see you. There is Nate. I don't know if Nate was supposed to share it, but Nate said on our interview that there will be a meet and greet after our panel. So be me, Nate, and Ray all together over there, and it's gonna be really cool because then I actually get to see you guys who are coming. You usually can't speak to the defendant. Make sure you write it to the judge. Even when you say to her, you say via statement to the judge, or they will stop you. Yeah, it's very structured. You can't just go out of bounds. There are some people who have done that, who have gone out of bounds, and it's a mess because that's not the point. You're not supposed to go out of the realm of what you write. And I'm gonna speak to the judge, but I'm definitely going to address the reality of what it is. Again, I don't need to give her any more fuel. She's not going to know, but I don't think she'll really need to know how it is. It's going to be a silent knife in a way. Like, I don't need to go at her to get it done. I'm going to speak clear, and it's going to be very impactful. I hope. It's more about just showing the impact of losing my family, not really as much about her. Dawn says, looking forward to CrimeCon, traveling solo. I'll just make friends when we get it. Oh, heck yeah, you will. You're going to make tons of friends up there. I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really, really cool. I'm excited about that.
Critical interview, we might talk to them about that subject and get some strategies that they may suggest for the most effective interview techniques. But in this instance, and they can provide an analysis of their own, but in this instance, most of the analysis in this case was done in-house by us here.
And when you say in-house by us here, when you say analysis, what does that mean?
Well, an analysis simply means looking at and reviewing various types of records and data. There's a vast spectrum of information that's valuable to us in these investigations, from business records, cell phone records, iCloud records, so on and so forth, video records. We review all of those things to look for evidence relevant to the case.
That's insane how much. So her entire iCloud, her 19 years of her iCloud, whatever that means, gets thoroughly gone through. That's insane.
And so when you say evidence, that means common ideas, investigative leads, themes or theories that the investigators need to follow up on.
Yes and no.
How yes and how no?
So yes, in the sense that when we are trying to determine a motive for a crime, there may be a theme that is relevant, that gives us an indication as to why an individual.
I think Apple was made in I don't know. Hey, Christy. Yeah, no, Doug was on his crap, huh? He's a good guy, man, for real. But this is still a lot.
May have committed a crime. No, in the sense that we are fact finders, and so our job is to
that shows you
investigate thoroughly and carefully and completely.
You're right, because I had a little shuffle USB iPod when I was a kid. It had 2 songs on it. It had "Yeah" by Usher and "Headstrong" by that band. I don't know. That's all I listened to is those 2 songs. Then when I was like older and I realized how filthy "Yeah" is and what the premise is, I was like, dang, bro, I had this in my ears at like 5. I don't know how old I was.
In an effort to solve the crime and develop evidence of who committed that crime. And in that sense, we aren't driven by a theme or a concept. We're driven by evidence.
Again, I'll give you guys anybody who's done this. Yeah, by Trapped, you guys are on your crap. I love that. Yeah, when you give a speech, so there's different rules in different places. Some So if you've seen it, I've seen someone randomly on like YouTube and social media, like out of nowhere, somebody's statement will go like crazy because they like fully address the person. They say everything they want, and they get it off their chest. Um, like I said, for me personally, I think it's a little bit less about her this time, and it's more about my family. So I'm not going to like try to go crazy. I try to stay as reserved as possible, especially with someone that you don't want to feed them. I'm not going to feed her.
Follow the evidence that we find.
You follow the evidence where it goes.
Yes,
And if it's centered around a particular subject, you follow that subject wherever it goes.
correct.
Now, specifically in the investigation into the disappearance and sadly, ultimately, the murder of J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, and the murder of
No,
Tammy,
I'm going to object argumentative.
Sustained.
specifically in your
So the panel, I don't know how that works. I didn't ask enough details. We're up on the stage. There's like a 3,200 seats available for ours. I think it's open because I don't think you can regulate if you went to the panel and then come over and do the meet and greet. I'm not sure how that works. I think it's public if you have a ticket, if that makes sense. If you are at CrimeCon, I think you're allowed to come. If there is a regulation, I'm sorry if I misled you, but I don't know the difference. But I'm assuming they would just let it be for a certain amount of time.
review of the investigation into the disappearance of J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan and the death of Tammy Daybell, what were your particular roles?
I had two primary roles in this case. My first role was as the supervisor over this investigation. Our Pocatello office is quite small. We had 3 agents assigned when we were contacted by the Rexburg Police Department. Very quickly, 2 of those agents transferred one transferred, one retired. So we were down to 1 agent. I supervised the activity of those people. When resources were needed, such as our evidence response team, or forensic accountants or analysts, or when leads needed to be set to other divisions, all of those things fall under my purview. And so I had the responsibility for the FBI oversight of this investigation. That's
In
one.
partnership with your local partners.
Correct.
Okay. And so when you say your responsibilities, just to make sure I'm clear, the resources of the FBI and what resources the FBI would contribute to that partnership were directed by you?
Correct.
Okay. And you mentioned, and I think I accidentally cut you off, you mentioned crime analyst?
We had an analyst assigned to this case, yes.
Okay. And what does a crime analyst do?
They, their job is to look at records and to try to determine if there is relevant evidence in existence, for instance, phone analysis and analysis of Google accounts or other things.
I'll see at my sentencing if I can just clip all the shorts I've done about laughing at them and see if they'll just play that after I'm done. Just so I don't have to say all the stuff. It never happened. But at least it'd be a little lighthearted and show her how dumb I think she is, bro.
So much information in all of those records, and generally speaking, only a small portion of that may be relevant to the alleged crimes that we're investigating.
And so you were talking about your role as sort of supervisory role. You said you had 2 roles. What was your second role on this case?
My primary role was as an investigator in this case. I live in Boise, I work in Boise, but I traveled multiple times per month to Rexburg due to the complexity of this case, due to the fact that 2 children were missing. I felt that it was important for me to play.
Probably someone on her defense team. When I'm there, the defense team is like they're kind of ahead, and I'm like, when you're in the front row, you can just turn your head. So I just see this the whole time. Everybody just taking turns. Lori was looking at me more, and now there's too many people there in the front row that make her probably uncomfortable. So she only does that maneuver when she throws the paper back, right? So when she puts her paper back behind her, she'll always glance over right at me. And then when the jury leaves, she stands up and stares at me. So I tell you that because I think that somebody is watching probably every video. and telling her as much as possible.
An active role, given my background and experience in these types of cases. And so I, more so than my supervisory role, I played an investigative role in this case. I was present during the crime scene search where we
I'm going to
located.
object. This is the narrative. There's no questions here.
Sustained.
And so you played an active role. Not only were you a supervisor, you played an active role as an investigator in this joint investigation.
Yes, for all intents and purposes, I was the FBI case agent for this investigation.
And so what specific work did you do as an investigator on this case?
I conducted a number of interviews of witnesses. I was present at the search warrant execution on June 9th and 10th.
They're calling her up. Colby's talking about you. But the funniest thing is, bro, I am not even trashing Lori. You can say what you want. It's always just pointing out what's happening. I don't go out of my way to make fun of her. I don't go out of my way to do anything. I told you guys what happened when I was a kid. I've told you what I've noticed. I've told you the traits that she has, and I react to what we're watching. I'm not going out of my way to create her to look like a villain. I just learned really what it is. I'm not going out of my way, though. I'm not talking. I don't know if it's like wrong to say that, but I don't feel like I'm just going out of my way to purely talk trash. I'm really just telling you guys more of a perspective. That's it.
My biggest investigative role was to undertake a complete analysis of the content of 2 iCloud accounts that were registered to Lori Vallow. The first is called Lori for Style at iCloud.com, and the second is called LollyTime at iCloud.com.
And why was it important that those accounts be examined?
Because of the value of the information that's contained in those cloud storage.
When you say the value, can you help us understand why such?
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm not trying. Kind of like when we talked about it in our phone call. Remember how she said that, like, everybody's got their opinion. You're judging me. You're judging me. You're judging me. I don't think I've judged you. I said you murdered my family. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I have to think of all the words that you're supposed to say. Unalived my family, right? So with that being said, she thinks that anybody who calls out on her is bad, right? Is against her, is judging her as a person, is all that stuff. And it's simply not true. That's not true. I mean, I've laughed at her. I can't lie. I've laughed my butt off with some of the stuff she says. That doesn't mean I'm judging her, though.
Accounts would be valuable to investigators in this situation.
Sure. The iCloud is simply the storage or backup for your Apple iPhone usage. Our phones are not phones anymore. They're phones, they're email accounts, there are cameras, they contain photos and videos. We have text messaging, we have multimedia messaging. All of those things are stored in the iCloud. And so in this instance, we have a large volume of direct communications between Lori Vallow and others in this case. We have a number of photographs and videos and emails and contacts and notes that are all relevant to this case that were discovered during the review and analysis of the iCloud account.
And that information was shared across departments and across agencies by multiple investigators, correct?
That's correct. We
I don't know if I've ever told, I mean, you guys probably know this, but the volume, the mass of people that got involved to figure this stuff out will always and forever blow my mind and humble me in respect to everybody who put their time in. That's why there's so much respect for everybody who's on the prosecution. Like the process, the day-to-day, all day, every day, people flying in and out of town, all the experts, 2 cities working at the same time, actually probably multiple cities working at the same time. The FBI, like this is countless amount of people. I don't know if we could ever realize the scale of this, all to try to find kids and figure out what's going on and uncover a trail. It's a huge deal, bro. So all my respect goes out to everybody, because what they did was they all, as a group, came together and put things together, and they found the kids. Like, you know, I've thought about all the time, what if they've never found them? It's possible. It's possible. Like, there's so many stories about people who go out on a hike and they're 5 to 10 feet away from someone and they just disappear. And this is a huge deal that they found them. It's huge. And I have so much respect for all of them.
Access to these iCloud accounts fairly early on in the investigation, and they played an important role in our ultimate conclusion of what took place in the case.
And so as you shared this information, did it lead the law enforcement partnership to execute a search warrant on the Daybell property on June 9th and 10th of 2019?
Yes, it did.
Or 2020, I think I misspoke.
2020.
Okay. And you explained you were physically present?
Yes, I was there, again, in a dual role. I was the FBI supervisor on scene for that search, but I also participated as an investigator throughout the 2 full days that the search was executed.
Okay. And so can you tell us about your personal activity at the Daybell residence on June 9th and 10th of 2020?
Yes. Our evidence response team was present to oversee the search, but due to the size of the property, other agents.
I'll tell you real quick, one really, really fast story. The one that I heard is that a young man had come from graduating from like a 1-year kind of class. He graduated and he went out with his friends and he drove back at night taking the back roads. His car got stuck and he calls his parents. He sounded like he was sober. It sounded like he was okay. So he's trying to get his parents to come find him. They head out to see where he is. They couldn't find him. They're on the phone with him for 45 minutes. He's walking around telling his parents, hey, I'm right here in this town on this road. I can see this city. So he's walking around and they're on the phone. They pull over and they're trying to figure out what's going on because he's like, I'm at the road. And they're parked on the road, searching the road. They can't find him. And he ends up walking away, and the last thing they ever hear him say is, "Oh sh," and then his phone cut out. And so they were doing everything they could. They called the police. They were searching all around. They jumped in the cars. They found his car, and they went out and find him. They could not find him. They spent months looking for him. He disappeared off the planet Earth, and he was just gone. And his parents have no idea. His parents have never seen him again up until the point that I heard. And they still leave their lights on for their son at night. Like they just never saw him again. And I'm talking about like, dude, this is way more common than I thought. People disappear. And I know personally that time from December to June of just the disappearance, you don't know what happened. It is the worst mental cage you could ever be in. Like, no closure ever, no idea what happened. I mean, there's things like this that happen in life, dude. Like not having an answer what happened to someone you love, your family member, and for the rest of your life, you just like hope. Yeah, his name was I think his name is Brandon. Yeah, it was Brandon. Thank you, Tess. Yeah. It broke my heart, man. Like it just, I know that feeling as a family member, and that's one of many. There's a lot of people who just disappear, or they're sleeping in their bed one night and they're not seen again. There's that whole story about that family where their house burned down, and there was all this evidence that they got their house burned down, and they're like 3 kids. That's a very, very well-known story. It's from a long time ago, but they never saw their kids. They had a house fire and their kids disappeared, and the dad went, they all just lost it. You can't do anything but make stories up in your head, but you'll never know. That feeling is horrid. You know what I mean? And that's my point. That's what tries to make it seem so scary. What makes it feel so like, how the hell did someone just disappear off the planet Earth? There's so many stories like that. So I just tell you that story because, again, this is more common. And the fact that they found it, like, you have to understand, Doug found a huge part of this case. That's what narrowed the search. That's what narrowed it, right?
And investigators that are not formally part of the evidence response team were asked to help and to participate. The first step that took place was essentially walking the property looking for evidence that might exist within the property.
And did you personally walk the property looking for evidence?
I did.
The day before Thanksgiving in 2019, they came to the house and for sure said that what's vibrating outside? Uh-oh. We might have one of the group out there vibrating. Something's loud out there. Look at these two out here jumping on the stream and never dying. Oh, it's Garrett Jeffs. This man. What's up, dude? Yeah, I don't know what's vibrating out there, but if it's them, I'm going outside. You're meeting Dez and Troy today, baby. I'm wrecking you if you're from that group out there vibrating. Not to knock you out quicker than a hurry.
Okay. What was the next step taken after officers and agents working together searched that property?
Well, during the walk of the property, you're looking for places on the property that might.
I'll tell you this. I am excited to do other cases with you guys because I want us to be a big group talking through our theories and thoughts. Just because I know that mental torment of the theories, I think it's best to try to help narrow down things as a group. So that I think that will be really good. And I hope we do some good for possibly these families. Like I told you, my goal is to try to get a lot of those families and people on the podcast because I might not know exactly what they went through, but I understand, you know. Oh, we on that Des and Troy, baby. I'm telling you. It's on site. It's on site with any of those vibrators.
Contain evidence. So during the walk of the
I'm
property,
gonna get in trouble for saying the stuff I say. I gotta chill out.
myself and an agent who was at my side located JJ's grave.
Can you explain to us the process you used to locate?
Brandon, yeah, I've never addressed that. Sorry, I just want to answer this question real quick. Yes, a lot of people commented on that video and it's like, she actually is crying. It was the first time I'd seen her in a long, long time, right? Actually, you know what? No, it wasn't because it was in 2020. Yeah, so that's my bad. It was when I talked to her last before it was a long time. She saw me and Kelsey, and when she saw me and Kelsey, she started crying. And I was like, are you really serious? Are you really serious? Like, you're going to pull the tears because of me? She did that last time, though. I think she cried when she saw me at her trial. I don't know if that's confirmed, but what makes me so special to her? I don't understand that. We all laughed along with you when Ian testified and Lori said she rolled up like a taco and sent to Antarctica. I just can't believe that's some people think this way, you know?
JJ's grave.
Yes. When you're looking for a clandestine grave, there are certain telltale signs that you want to find. Primarily, you're looking for aberrations in the earth. If a grave has been dug,
Kelly.
typically
It's actually from Thor 3. Dude pulls out his two I don't know how to filter myself for YouTube now. He pulls out his two ARs and he calls them Des and Troy, and I thought that was funny. I'm not gonna lie. I did not make that up. But I like using it for my fist. It's funny.
the vegetation around where the digging took place is slightly different than the vegetation that's been undisturbed around that grave. Similarly, you'll see sometimes a mound of earth where the grave has been dug, and sometimes you'll see a depression in the earth. In this instance, I was able to observe a slight change in the vegetation where JJ was buried, and then upon closer inspection, I was able to see that there was essentially a seam around the grave where...
I'll answer this question too. Lori, as a cook, made pasta with sauce, roast every Sunday. What else did she make? Rice Krispie treats. She started making cookies. And then she added in the green chicken enchiladas, which was way, way past when I was like an adult. So yeah, that was way later in life. And then that was like the thing. That was like the constant thing. She did do a couple times. She did them different. She was trying it new out. Sometimes they were decent. But overall, she was not a cook. She was more of a baker. And then everything else was takeout. And I ate takeout my whole life.
The sod had been cut and then replaced. And so you could feel with your hands that there was the outline of where the grave had been dug was present there.
So when you say feel with your hands, did you actually feel the ground yourself?
I did.
I agree with you.
And that area was photographed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the state requests that just so that the witness looks at these again, that the witness be handed state's already admitted Exhibit 170C, 170D, 170E, and 170H.
You know, when you think about the exhibits, man, that amount of time to actually create the exhibits to be presented would take forever. Seriously, that would take forever to mark everything with specific categories, specific numbers, specific letters. Oh my gosh, that would take forever. Nope, she couldn't do that right either. I had to make my own cereal, man. I'll tell you this, like that's some tragedy. I mean, that's not a big deal, but I'm just saying she just didn't cook. She didn't cook. Diane, actually, Kelsey has become a great cook. She's been doing it since we got married, and she really makes some of my favorite food. Like some things I love her stuff. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted. I don't want to ruin what we're doing right here.
Thank you.
Sir, would you take a look at those, please?
Okay.
Okay. These have previously been admitted, but do you recognize those?
Hey, Bree.
I do.
And just so the record's clear, it may have been a little bit since the jury's seen those. What are they?
These are photographs that were taken of the spot that I identified near the tree on the corner of the Daybell property where JJ's remains were ultimately located.
Your Honor, I'd request permission to publish or republish the state's exhibits 170 and the various numbers and use them during this witness's testimony.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, they can be published.
So you indicated a discussion on a change of vegetation. I would like you to chat with us if you see that in State's Exhibit 170C. And let me zoom out.
Yes, so this is a faraway view. The subsequent photographs will be a little more telling, but essentially you can see right here, this little spot. If you look at the greenery,
I can throw down some bread and cheese, baby. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm the best. I'm probably the thing I make the best is steak. Trying to think what else. I don't really make a lot of stuff, and by no means am I a cook. The grilled cheese was just to make you guys laugh. What's up, Abby?
this spot and you can see some yellowing, and it's just, unless you knew what you were looking for, you might not notice it, but this is JJ's grave.
You previously talked about signs of signs of a clandestine grave. Is that one sign of a clandestine grave?
It is.
Okay. Were there particular pieces of evidence that took you to that area of property?
Yes.
What were those pieces of evidence that took you and the other agent to that area of the property?
We searched the entire property, but we knew that on September 23rd of 2019, that Alex Cox's cell phone had been located in that area for a period of time.
That grilled cheese, and that's the one thing I know how to at least do right. I'll tell you that.
So going to that area, you saw that area and that sort of yellowing, and you said there's another picture that perhaps shows it better?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you State's Exhibit 170D. Is that the better view of what you were talking about?
Yes, this is a close-up view. And so you can see the vegetation here is fairly long and lush, but you have this slight area here where the vegetation simply isn't growing as well. and you can see a defined.
I just want to continue to point out, like in the law enforcement part, there's a lifelong trauma. You can be hardened. You can, have, I've seen it 100 times, but they do get traumatized, and they're doing their job. Their job though brings personal trauma, and can bring probably a lot of pain, a lot of sleepless nights. So just have a ton of respect for those guys.
Outline, you can even see some edges here, and so that ultimately ended up being where JJ's remains were found.
Okay. And you indicated that you felt the ground in this area. Is that the area that you felt the ground in?
Yes, I felt the ground with my hands, but I also had, we carry a probe with you, which is essentially just a rod with a point on it to be able to, if you find an area that you suspect may be something you want to examine further, you use that probe to.
Well, again, if you run that scenario, you have this idea that this all happened from Tylee. Why would you, so let's just be logical. And I hate to put it in a blunt way, but if Tylee did that to JJ, why would he be duct tape in a bag? And why would she be treated the way she was after and put in the ground that way? Who would do that? If they just did that, why wouldn't you call the police? Why would you do anything other than do that? That alone right there breaks the whole thing, breaks the whole case.
Determine if hard undisturbed ground exists, that probe doesn't really go in. If you've dug the earth up, the probe usually goes in considerably easier.
And were you carrying one of those probes?
I was.
Okay. And you put the probe in the ground in this area?
I attempted to.
Let me show you State's Exhibit 170E. Is that one of the areas where you attempted to put the probe in the ground?
Yes, that's just an even closer up shot that essentially shows the seam, or one of the, if we look at it as a rectangle, it's just one of the seams that existed where the sod had been cut up.
And when you say the seam, and I apologize, I may not have asked you, so forgive me, turning back to State's Exhibit 170D, can you outline that seam again, that area, that rectangle you were talking about?
Certainly. So this would be the top right here. You can see that line there. You follow it down here. There's the bottom, and then here's the other side. So this is your rectangle.
Okay. And so when you located that, was that area approximately how big, or do you know?
I think it's worse for the jury because the jury has no prior experience, probably 95% of the time. There's no death experience. So you just get called to a jury, don't really have a choice, get picked, and then you just traumatize as a normal person, and then you're supposed to make a decision at the end of it.
It's quite small. The seams on either end are probably 18 to 24 inches, and then the length would be approximately 48 inches.
Okay. Child size?
Yes.
And so you said you attempted to put the probe in. What do you mean by that?
I mean, the probe wouldn't penetrate the earth.
Okay. Well, if that's a sign of a clandestine grave, why did you continue to look there?
I'm sorry.
If I thought you said earlier that a sign of clandestine grave was that you stick the probe in and the ground is loose, but if it's hard, it may not be. What caused you to look further when the probe didn't go all the way in?
Well, the probe is just one simple tool that we use, and ultimately we understood why the probe didn't go in. Once we lifted the sod away, we saw that a board.
Yeah, I will tell you guys this. I don't know how that courtroom's going to be, but I will tell you, it is going to be packed in the courtroom to capacity, and then the waiting room, and then the downstairs outside. We'll see how that goes, but it's going to be so packed. But it would be really cool to see you, Ali. I don't know. I don't know how that works. The only time I know people could be there would be outside, and it's burning hot. I'll tell you how much it is. Or it's only 98 right now. That's crazy. Probably because it's cloudy, but it's been hot. If you want to come and be outside, that would be the time. But there's going to be tons and tons and tons of people there.
Boards and rocks have been placed on top of JJ's body, and so my probe was hitting those rocks and boards.
Okay. And so that would be as what was reflected in State's Exhibit 170H?
Correct. So this is a photograph of that spot that we've been looking at. And this shows where you can see where the roots.
Brother, it's been 110. Not to try to sound cool, but yesterday when I went running, it was like 10 something o'clock and it was horrible. It was bad. It was so hot. But I was for some reason, after being out there for a few minutes, you kind of get used to it. Body kind of adjusts. Oh, the douche guys got to pull up on them.
Vegetation from the tree have been cut to prepare the grave. And then these rocks, and then this is one of two different boards that were present on top of JJ's body.
And so was the dirt on top of those rocks and boards seemingly loose or mounded in any way?
It was very, very shallow, so there wasn't a lot of dirt on top of these rocks. It was, I mean, as soon as we took the sod up, we could see that there were rocks placed there.
Yeah.
This photograph shows the dirt having been removed from between the rocks as that grave was carefully and methodically exhumed. So this shows a couple of steps in where the sod's been taken away, and the rocks had been placed on top of boards. Once we removed the rocks and the boards, we began to see that something was buried there.
Okay. And ultimately, that's where JJ Vallow was discovered.
Correct.
So they found him from pinging Alex's phone, correct? That's the only way that they knew. They had a very specific spot to go through. And that's why they found him. And same thing. I think this has to be the same time that they must have found Tylee and JJ both, at least in those certain areas that would have specifically let them go that day, search the house, and go to those exact areas that they found those pings.
Now, we're done with pictures for a while, so thank you, ma'am. You were present when JJ was discovered, but other officers took over and helped exhume JJ's body, correct?
I was there through the entirety of that process. I helped exhume the grave and exhume the body, as well as helping to exhume Tylee's remains.
Okay. Multiple officers had to do those things, correct?
Yes, it's a large property, and there were several members of our evidence response team, along with detectives from the Rexburg Police Department, the Fremont County Sheriff's Office, and other FBI employees. And
because of the way those bodies were, multiple officers were involved in helping recover those remains.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So turning to your other sort of work as an investigator on this, you discussed your work in reviewing and the value of looking at the iCloud accounts of Lori Vallow.
You have to remember, they're going through terabytes worth of information, and they found that. So that's how they found Tylee. That's huge. That means every text is. You couldn't search that. You have no idea where the raccoon thing is. Like, you could never make that up in your brain. So that means they read every text thread all the way through, hit the microphone, and did all that work just to find it.
Okay. Now, how much experience do you have in analyzing such data in relation to the other facts in the investigations to help determine sort of the facts and circumstances or motives of a particular crime or suspect?
I have several years worth of experience. The FBI specializes in long-term complex investigations, and those investigations involve, in most cases, the analysis of voluminous amounts of records. And so as an investigator, as a case agent, I've participated in the analysis of those records in investigations for the entirety of my career.
Okay. And you personally have worked with Apple iCloud accounts and records?
I have.
And you've talked about sort of the value of them overall to law enforcement, but in iCloud accounts, what specific types of data are in those iCloud accounts?
Essentially, whatever is on your smartphone is in the iCloud. It's simply a mirror, more than a mirror. It's a storage device of the activity of your phone. So it contains your contacts, it contains your call logs, it contains your cookies, it contains what we call carved strings, which is data that's been deleted but hasn't yet been overridden. It contains SMS or text messages. It contains MMS or multimedia messages. It contains images, videos, and the list goes on and on. And so all of these things are present in the iCloud.
And forgive me, I heard you talk about lots of the multimedia, the pictures, the location data, the text. Does it also sometimes include things that somebody has tried to delete from their phone?
Yes.
In what way is that captured?
In a couple of ways. So you can delete something from your phone to increase the storage on your phone. But if your phone is backed up to the cloud, typically it's no longer present on your phone, but it still exists in the cloud. So you can have data on your phone that you've deleted. That data still exists. It still is present on your iCloud.
Okay. And what's a carved string?
So carved strings are data that has been deleted off of the iCloud, but not yet overridden.
What does that mean?
I'm not a super technical guy, but it's bits and pieces of messages or communications. They don't make a whole lot of sense. The carved strings weren't really of any value to us in the investigation. I just mentioned that as a part of what exists on the iCloud.
Okay. And what tools do you use to look at an iCloud?
The tool we use is a software program called Cellbrite. Cellbrite does not alter the data, it simply organizes it. So Cellbrite is a pretty user-friendly tool that will take the contents of the iCloud and put it in its various compartments, as I've mentioned, and then you can go in and view each of those separate places within the iCloud.
And when you're using Cellbrite, does it allow you to look at the data but limit how much data you look at?
Yes. So with each of the different sections of the iCloud, you can apply a filter. And so that was something that I did fairly frequently in my analysis of the Lori for Style account, not the Lolly Time, but I did use filters in Lori for Style.
So when you say filters, is a filter say sort of date range?
Yes, you can use a filter that's particularly called capture time. So the Lori for Style iCloud account, the earliest records date back to December of 2000. That's far beyond the scope of this investigation. And so the capture time filter that I used for...
How is that oh, her email, not her iCloud. That's very different. Your email is a lot older than your iCloud storage, right? Those are not the same things in any way, shape, or form, because you can have an email from anything. So
the purposes of this case was October of 2018, the month where Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow first met. And so I did some cursory review of earlier data just to make sure I wasn't missing anything, but I focused my efforts on the date at which the conspiracy that's charged could have began.
And what were those dates?
Primarily, I would plug in October 26th of 2018, and then I would examine from that date forward.
Okay. And why'd you pick that date?
October 26, 2018 is the date that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell met at a Preparing a People conference in St. George, Utah.
And so, and then you ended your filter when? On Lori for Style.
There was a point in time in late November.
I have no idea. I only ever talked about it for a little bit, and I've told you guys my feelings and thoughts on that. Yeah, that's a whole other thing here.
Of 2019, when Lori Vallow stopped using her phones, and so the data in the iClouds stops when the phone usage stopped, and I can't recall the exact date. It's November 2019 for sure, towards the end of the month, but I can't recall the exact date.
And what was the date that the law enforcement approached Lori Vallow?
Lori Vallow was approached on November 26th of 2019.
Okay.
The
data on Lori.
They pulled up on her the day before they came to me.
Style stops sometime at the end of November 2019.
Correct.
Your Honor, the state intends at this time to display States Exhibit 29C and D. If we're happy to keep proceeding, but if we want to take a quick morning break so defense counsel can just double check it now, understanding they want a copy, but I respect that they would like to see it, we can do that or we can proceed.
Okay, let's go ahead and take our mid-morning break at this
Yep.
time then. I'll allow defense to access that. So let's plan on starting up again no later than 10:30.
All right.
Okay. And that's pulling from the State's Exhibit, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the, you can see it says lollytime at iCloud.com, and it has the same compartments as the other iCloud. You'll see that the number of records.
I know they knocked down the house. We actually, that was one of the first videos we did when I restarted the channel. So yeah, I think they cleared it. I think they cut the tree down where JJ was. I think they just bulldozed the lot. And it was actually a volunteer effort. And I've always tried to say a huge shout out to them. A bunch of companies, construction companies came, brought their equipment and did it for free. Donated their time, donated their resources, put in manual labor and got it done. I think in like less than a couple hours, they did all that's huge. I saw someone said what's up to Ray, but I can't see it. Oh, there he is. The raw wrench of them all, baby. What you doing over there? You just staring at your muscles today? Probably can't stop looking in the mirror with all that pec action going on and them big old arms, huh?
Lolly time is substantially less than Lori for Style, and that's because Lolly time was created in April of 2019 and then goes through November of 2019. So this particular account is much smaller.
Okay. So Lori for Styles was much longer because it wasn't used for a longer time.
Lori for Style, the earliest record in Lori for Style is December of 2000. So close to 19 years.
Okay. And then Lolly time, I apologize, it started in what month?
April of 2019.
And it ceased to be used according to what you could find?
Correct. Both accounts ceased to be used in November of 2000, towards the end of November of 2019.
Okay. Now, in analyzing
the story with the property is that the lawyer finally sold it. There's some horrible rumors floating around that a true crime Airbnb was going to buy the property and probably museum it and keep it as like a museum. Now, again, that would have really put me over. Like that would have probably put me in a place where I don't know. I would be furious. I don't know what I'd do, but I'd figure out something to do. So yeah, a true crime place wanted to buy it and make it an Airbnb. Did you hear that? An effing Airbnb where they found 3 people. 1 was killed there and 2 were buried there. That's what they wanted to do. So I guess there's a bunch of people who wanted to buy it. The people who bought it have a non-profit, I think. And yeah, would you guys like to go stay there? Wouldn't that be a fun little trip to do? Go sleep in that house? That's like going to sleep with the Annie the doll or whatever her name is. Let me just set up camp right here. I don't understand that. But yeah, I was really upset. So I guess this nonprofit bought it and tore it down. Again, I think it should just be left to the nature. I don't think I would want to go personally. I would not sit there and go over there and like spend time there. That's not going to be very healing for me. I think that's kind of like, I don't know, man. I went to the Alamo when I was a kid in San Antonio and I felt that. And I was a kid. I was like 8, 9. I felt the Alamo. I think they had it marked where some certain people died. I thought the Alamo as a movie was cool when I was a kid. It was like a huge part of Texas history, especially over like in San Antonio where I was living. And even then, when I got to the reality of the Alamo, I was like, dude, this is wild. Like, I felt that weird feeling. Like I was just uncomfortable. So I tell you that because I would never want to go there and like sit on a bench or there. I don't think that would be peaceful. I get the sentiment. I get the idea of making beauty out of ashes. I just don't agree with that. Like, why do it right where they were? I think that's too much.
Records in states 29C and D. What process did you follow?
A very methodical one. I would go into each of these compartments, which also exist where it says device content. It'll say phone data.
Like that's like setting up a hotel or something in a graveyard. That's just like that's as wild as it gets.
And it will have all of these records. So Bluetooth devices, call logs, contacts, and as you scroll down, you'll see all of the different compartments. And so my process was to open up one of those compartments and then examine the data that was in there. If there was something that was pertinent or relevant, then I would make a document of that.
That's what I'm saying.
In Lori Vallow's iCloud accounts, approximately how many records of data were there?
I don't have an exact.
To me, that's more than disrespectful, and I feel the same way for Tammy and her family. That's disrespectful. Like, they would have bought it as is, probably just did some work on the inside, or just threw some beds in there and try to keep it as real as possible. Like, I get that there's some horror people. That this isn't a movie though. This is real life. Like, you can feel. I felt the darkness on the property line, bro. I could feel it. I could feel the evil. You think I'm gonna go sit on a bench over there, or make a kids park over there and take my kids there and put them on a swing, or have an Airbnb and go sleep in that house where someone was had their life taken in that house, literally?
That count, and that gets to be a little bit difficult. For instance, there's a section for chats. Well, one chat may contain 3,000 messages within that chat, but my best estimate from kind of tallying these is between 130 and 150,000 records.
And if we could just turn to, just so the jury can see one of those, let's look at Lori for Style, the SMS section, if we could.
Can we please identify which exhibit we're looking at?
Yes, absolutely. Is this the Lori for Style, States Exhibit 29? I think it's
That's what I'm saying.
B.
Thank you.
And turning to Lori for Style in the SMS section, let's look at line 1842.
See, I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I'll tell you what I think though. To leave it as is, I don't agree with it. I think a park bench, I think honoring someone's beautiful. But I personally would like, this would even be a better idea to just take the house down and then put it in the front. I think that people wanted to mark the exact spots where they were found. So like when you walk over there, you can like see where they dug them up. No, thank you. That's not really fair.
So Agent, while Mr. Wood helps locate that and display that, is that the process you had to go through for looking, the process he's going through, is that the process you had to go through to look at every one of these texts?
Yes. So in Lori for Style, I applied a date filter starting October 26th of 2018. When I applied that filter, there were approximately 4,500 text messages. And I started at that date and then read every single text message down to the last.
Okay. And that's just the text messages?
Yes. And so I followed that same process for all of the various compartments that you can see that are displayed on this screen.
So
I want to make a clarification here. I think
That's what I'm
you may
saying.
be looking at 29C, not D.
oh, I apologize if I misspoke, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Council.
Well, I think we need to be clear if it is 29C or if it is 29D.
This guy. Nobody's rubbed this guy's shoulders in a long time. That's what he sounds like. I could be wrong, not trying to be judgmental of the guy, but he definitely, he must be mad. Yeah, I agree with you though. My personal suggestion was tear it down and leave it. Just leave it. Leave it. Let it grow out. I guess you can't. There's probably certain rules where you can't just leave land unattended to. You can't just leave it probably like that. But my thing was like the best thing you could do is return it to the earth by just making flowers out there. Make it beautiful to pass by in a sense. Make it, that would be the most peace, also the most respectful. If I were to have bought it, if I were to have bought that was what I would have done. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't had his shoulders rubbed in a fat minute, bro. Yeah, man. Plus, you got to understand, Rexburg, as in like the vicinity of Rexburg, it's not a big spot. So like Chad's house is kind of outside of town. So there's like a Walmart, and then there's this like road that goes down this main road. Chad's house is like on the corner of the main road. So it's like front and center when you just all you have to do is drive straight down. You're not going to miss it if you're running that road because it's on the corner. So that being said, if you just had nothing there but like flowers or something of that nature, I think that's the best way to do it. I just wouldn't want anything to do with it. Like in my opinion, you can't make that a beautiful place. The best you could do is leave it as an untouched place, kind of out of respect, like other memorial places. You know, just, yep, exactly. Yeah, we actually went and we sledded down the sand dunes. And when I got down there, there was a log under the snow, and I clipped that thing with my ribs. Luckily I had extra padding at the time, so I was okay. But those dunes are awesome. But like I said, you can't miss that house if it's on the road. And that fence was like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. That was like the most, as a group, I couldn't, like, I wish I could have thanked everybody who contributed to that. That was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life, of just human beings just gathering together. It was beautiful.
Yeah, let's confirm.
This is Lori for style at iCloud.com. $29C.
Okay.
I had all that 260 just so I could hit that log and not get hurt, because I was sliding. Holy crap, was I sliding.
With the quick shows?
Yes.
Okay, good. And so turning to line 1842, is that what's displayed up there, Agent?
Yes.
Could you show us sort of how you would figure out what that record was and what it revealed?
Certainly. So you can see a timestamp. So it would show the date that this message was sent on March 20th of 2019. Under the parties, it would show the owner, that's Lori Vallow, and it was sent to her brother, Alex Cox. And then under the body, it contains the text message that was sent. In this case, it says, "I'm finding out some great stuff about you. I'm going to do some ceilings.
What I
Can't
would
wait
do,
to ship."
Shut up for a second. Sorry, that's not his fault. I couldn't press pause. I would put, there's a beautiful park in the middle of Rexburg. I'd put the memorial there. I've thought about this a lot, obviously. So that's probably what I would do, it is in that main park, because that keeps it away from the grave itself. And you put that in a place where it's not really in the spot. Like, that's a lot. But I think I'd do something like that to bring those names out and put it on a beautiful, like a bench idea would be a bench, their faces on the bench, and then above their heads their names, and then the dates under, and then just something like, this is the memorial, Tylee and JJ memorial bench. I hope they do the same thing for Tammy, but she's not my family. I would just love to see that. I don't know if they've done that, but she deserves that too. You know what I mean? Yeah. I had that when one time I had that feeling of like letting it go. But again, I'm not going to go sit in that vicinity and really just like be on top of a marked place where they were buried.
They're all the things I learned about you. Wow, you're going to like it. It explains a lot.
And so when you looked at those texts, were you also aware of what was happening around in that case to determine whether a text is relevant?
Absolutely. As I was a participant in this case in its totality from essentially day 2. And so having that knowledge as the investigation progressed helped me to understand which text messages or other types of communications or records that might exist in the iClouds, whether they were relevant or pertinent to the investigation. If they were, I would make a note of that, and that's how I proceeded as far as my analysis is concerned.
So when you were determining whether a particular, well, let me ask you, was every single text that Lori Vallow sent relevant to the investigation into what happened to J.J. Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and Tammy Daybell?
Not at all.
Okay, why do you say that?
Well, there were hundreds, thousands of texts between Lori Vallow and friends and associates, between car rental companies, hotels, insurance. There was a lot of communications regarding appointments and medications for JJ and things that Tylee was doing. So there were the normal everyday type of communications that most individuals have. And so those, I examined those, but they certainly really didn't have any bearing on the case.
So how did you determine what was relevant?
Based on the investigation, the totality of the investigation, what we had uncovered from witness interviews, and from the various searches and other efforts that we were engaging in, we had developed a pretty good idea of what may have occurred. And I was looking for communications that were indicative of participation in the disappearance of JJ, Tylee, and Tammy Daybell.
And when you started looking at the records on the iCloud account, was it still actively a search for JJ and Tylee?
When I began, yes, it was. But I have looked at this over the course of several weeks and months, and certainly reviewed it as the case has gone on. So the initial review started prior to the children being found, and that review continued.
Even after they were recovered but not alive?
Correct.
And any idea how many hours it has taken you to go through all of these records?
Well over 200 hours.
Okay. And so in those excess of 200 hours, did you also, as you were reviewing it, sort of find investigative leads or concepts that merited following up?
Yes.
What were some of those investigative leads or concepts that merited following up?
First and foremost, it was the relationship between Lori Vallow and
You can
Chad Daybell.
You can tell from his language. You can tell from how he carries himself, how thorough he is. Yeah, he's a good guy, and he's really good at what he does, for sure.
Why is that? Why is that relevant?
Well, it was apparent that they were very quickly after meeting involved in an illicit affair with one another, and that they shared plans to be married and have a life together.
Were there any other investigative leads or concepts that needed follow-up?
Yes, as part of the plans between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, they had obstacles that were in the way of them achieving.
I don't object. This is argumentative.
Sustained.
When you say they had, understand the court's ruling, so you identified leads that followed up. Did you find information or discussion that there were barriers to their efforts to be together?
I'm going to object this to argumentative. The question is argumentative.
Judge, it's an investigative process, and if it had significance to him, the jury is entitled to hear that, especially if it factored into his creation of a summary.
Don't ever get blessed with Woombi Zuma Dooma D. Don't ever do it. You ever hear someone says that, you better get up, possible uppercut and a headbutt, and take your booty outside, get out of there. That is going from nowhere good.
It's overruled.
Thank you, Judge.
There were several communications regarding Tylee and JJ that were relevant to their deaths.
Okay. How so?
They discussed their deaths.
Okay. And what did that have to do with the concept that they had begun an affair or planned a future together?
After the affair began, there then began to be communications regarding the deaths of Charles Vallow, Tammy Daybell, JJ Vallow, and Tylee Ryan.
Any conversations about Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
And where's
They're discussing their deaths as because we found out about all of the praying seances. you guys would cry if I got up on the stand, read my statement, and then looked at Lori and said, "Umbi zuma duma dee." Probably 2 middle fingers would follow that, but try to hold myself. They basically were talking about them all passing, and that was it. There was no conversation of, I don't think, taking their lives. It was all the zombie stuff, and it was the what's it called? It was the that they were all going to pass in a certain way, like a car accident, crap like that. That's exactly what it was.
Was there communication that law enforcement had to follow up on that suggested that those individuals were considered barriers to the by the defendant to her future with Chad Daybell?
I object this to argumentative, Judge.
Overruled.
The exact word they used in the communications was obstacles.
And just to be clear, the communications between who?
Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
And they characterized JJ, Tylee, Tammy, Charles as obstacles.
Correct.
Your Honor, I'm going to object as this misstates the actual evidence.
Do you want the evidence? Because she's probably reading exactly what he found. Do you really want the text pulled up? You really want that?
The evidence will be admitted shortly, Judge. I'm just laying a foundation for summary.
Okay, well, it's at this point then, without that being entered into yet, there's no foundation for those comments, so I'll sustain that objection.
And so in following up and pursuing investigative leads and information within the iCloud accounts and in connection to interviews and other evidence, were there any other investigative leads or information that merited following up?
Yes, there was financial information that was deemed to be relevant. There was information regarding the relationship between Alex Cox, Lori Vallow's brother, and Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell that were relevant.
And was there, in terms of the financial information, why would that be relevant in analyzing the iCloud account in context of this investigation?
Well, during the course of the investigation, one of the elements that we examined was a potential financial motive for the crimes. And so that was part of our process in being thorough as it relates to looking at all the information that was available to us as we conducted the case.
And in the review of the evidence of the case, in particular, the information contained in the iCloud accounts, was there information that suggested there was evidence of financial motive for these individuals?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. That's argumentative.
Overruled.
Yes.
What evidence did you find that merited following up as an investigative tool or investigative avenue?
Actually, I have a whole video I need to do on that for you guys. I'm going to give you a ton of context to what I can call from the other side of the court, what is going to be said in this book, and the blasphemy to say that you just wrote scripture, that you're writing scripture. That doesn't happen. I don't know if you've read your Bible. Let's knock on that little empty head. You can't write scripture. You can just write it. Hey guys, I'm going to be working on scripture today. I can't wait for you all to read it. I've been scribbling it on my pieces of paper, my napkins, and my sticky notes. Let's put this together and get it done for you. Mm-hmm.
In the iCloud specifically, there was communications and direct references to a large life insurance policy possessed by Charles Vallow, as well as Social Security payments that were attributable to JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan.
You also indicated that there was some investigative information sort of stemming or contributed to from Lori Vallow's iCloud account about a relationship between Alexander Cox, Chad Daybell, and Lori Vallow. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. What information or evidence did you hear that led to investigative pursuits?
Appreciate it, Tom.
There were a number of communications between Alex Cox and Lori Vallow that were deemed to be pertinent to the investigation, and it was clear that
You guys seen Transformers 2 when when the shard makes him see a bunch of signs and symbols and he just starts tripping. That's exactly what this is, bro. That's what her scripture is going to be. It is nonsensical stuff. It's like some Indiana Jones stuff, you know, just your own hieroglyphics. It's not even going to be, I'll tell you, I'll make a video for you about how my breakdown is, like exactly what I think is going to be in there.
There was a relationship between Alex Cox and Chad Daybell as well.
Okay. And why would those things be relevant to the investigation into what happened to JJ, Tylee, and Tammy?
Those relationships were important because those individuals, throughout the course of the investigation, that's ultimately who was charged with the alleged crimes.
Now, in using what is up on the screen, the iCloud account for Lori Vallow, for both Lori for Style and Raleigh Time, you had to go through sort of each one of these screens that we saw for about approximately 200 hours. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So,
well, she said someone asks her what she's doing all day, and she goes, I'm writing. Who asked you that? Nobody. Nobody gives a frick what you're doing in there. That's crazy, bro. Nobody asked you what you're doing in there all day.
did you prepare a summary exhibit for use in explaining the findings and representing certain text to the jury?
I did.
Okay. Otherwise, we have to go line by line through the iCloud.
That's correct.
All right. And so in preparing that,
her that's the point. She's so self-absorbed. That's the kind of stuff she'd write. What she's gonna do is write this whole thing about her whole life. I'll just tell you this one part outside of the video. It will be a mirror about Lori, and it will be about her for the whole book will be about her. The whole book will be about how much she's been through and her story, and then blaming people. Like, she's gonna, but the whole time, just imagine a mirror on her face. And yeah, when you write your book and you're writing your own story, it would make sense, but nothing about her book is going to be like just the story. It's going to be about make you feel bad. The unfortunate thing is I've actually seen on the interview I did with her how many people were like on her side and were like, maybe she's being honest. And I'm like, bro, I'm not going to judge you, but really think that one through, please. Really think that one through. Because if you think that she's being honest about Tylee just because she's really good at crying and emotionally manipulating, you got to look deeper. The post-it prophet. Exactly. Yeah, she's I don't know what she thinks is going to happen with that story.
did you pick texts that were representative of investigative concepts or communications by the defendant?
Yes, I chose those pieces of data. So there are text messages, there are multimedia messages, there are videos, there are emails, there are notes, and those things that I deemed to be pertinent, to be directly relevant to this case. I would, in terms of preparing my summary, I would cut and paste directly from the iCloud and put it into a PowerPoint presentation. So that was my method, was to cut and paste exactly what is displayed in the iCloud account into the summary exhibit.
Okay. Can you just use the pointer again and show us what you would cut and paste, just so that we're clear that you literally took from the iCloud and put it into your summary exhibit?
Certainly. So again, there's a timestamp which shows a date and time.
Oh, you got to do it.
The parties. And then
we're going to make all our shirts and stuff that we think is funny. I want to get you guys a Frick Dis hat and some shirts. I'll get us some cool stuff. Some things we'll put into like an emoji if you guys are interested in that. I like it to be applicable for you. I don't really want it to be like just a Colby thing. I want us as a group to be able to have cool stuff. So we'll get all that stuff done for you guys for sure.
The communication. So I would note the date and the time, the parties, and then I would cut and paste. I didn't cut the specific phone numbers. I just noted the parties, but I would cut and paste in its entirety each message or piece of data.
Okay. So you didn't hand type it. You
No.
cut and paste from the original into your summary.
Correct.
Okay. And that summary was prepared in anticipation of explaining your investigative findings to the jury.
As an aid, yes.
Okay. And That summary was an effort to sort of show the representative ideas and evidence found in the iCloud.
Correct.
And I'd ask that the witness be handed States Exhibit 183 and 183A.
You guys are killing. You guys are
A courtesy
killing me
copy of
with
which has been
trouble.
given defense counsel.
Please say, I have to hear that. Sorry, I get a little distracted sometimes when I read the comments for a second. I'll glance over, and you guys say some funny stuff, and so I'm like smiling, but it's because of the comments. Oh, without a doubt. Can you imagine if I made some hats for that, and we walked around the earth with that on it? That would be like, what is wrong with these people? What is this gibberish on their hat? I hope that one everybody buys.
Agent, did you get a chance to look at States 183 and 183A?
Yes.
What are they?
This is 183A is a hard copy of the PowerPoint presentation that I prepared for a summary exhibit.
Also, just so you know, if we do the subscriber cruise, we're gonna make special merch just for the people who go on the cruise. The more I think about it, the more I think it's a good idea. I'm not kidding. I don't want to get you guys excited, but I think we'd have a heck of a time.
183 is an electronic copy of that with my initials
No speedos
on
for
the
me.
thumb drive.
So you prepared that thumb drive,
Yes.
and 183A is a physical hard copy.
I know how you guys feel about how with Ray with the speedo. I got to tell you, it can't happen. I got to shut that down. I can't have my guy out there being eye candy.
For use in court or by the jury.
Correct.
I move for the admission of States Exhibit 183 and 183A.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, we stated on the record prior to or outside the presence of the jury what that objection was, and we just stand by that objection.
All right. The court heard argument on an objection earlier this morning outside the presence of the jury. I made a ruling with no new substance to the objection. The court will stand by its prior ruling and allow for the exhibits 183 and 183A to be.
Yeah, we'll have respect. I don't think even if someone wanted to, the cruise line would let there be a group of dudes in their speedos. I don't think you're allowed to wear that. There has to be some kind of regulation on those. But if we do it, because I'm trying to think what would be the most like grouped together, don't have to pay very much because there's so many people. You can get food, all your stuff's provided for. No shot. Not the ice colds, bro. Just an ice cube on the speedo. Woo. That'd be fun. I'm thinking if we did it, since we're in Arizona, it might be nice to go out of I think we go out of California because I've been out of Texas. I think it'd be cool to go out of California. I've never done that. Oh, and that's what I'm saying. We're all going to have a daiquiri at the same time. Come on, bro. And let's put it this way. The cruise idea is that we all pitch in just a little bit, way less than you'd ever pay as a huge group, like a giant group, whoever can go and make it. And so everything's just cheaper. And then all you have to do is get to California and hop on the boat. We're not talking about no lorry boat. Heck no.
And you're making sure the court has their courtesy copy of 183A, correct? Thank you.
I do.
Thank you. I request permission to display States Exhibit 183A.
That's where the cruise is going to go. We're just going to touch on everywhere where you guys are from, and the cruise will just do a full tour. So we all hanging out on the beach.
You can publish it.
Thank you.
And actually, I think what you're publishing is 183, not A.
I apologize. Yes. Thanks, Judge.
You're welcome.
Agent, if you could look at the screen, I see displayed an initial slide and states Exhibit 183. What are we seeing here?
This is a line that I located in the contact section of loriforstyle at iCloud.com. And it was saved under the name of Bishop Shumway. It was created on October 28th, 2018. What stands out about this particular contact is that the telephone
Objection,
number.
Your Honor. He's now giving a narrative explanation.
Oh, sustained.
Okay. So what is it that it stands out about the slide we're looking at?
What stands out is that the phone number 208-690-9374 is the known cellular telephone number for Chad Daybell.
And what was the date this contact is reflected in the cell phone data or the iCloud account of Lori Vallow?
It was created on October 28th, 2018.
And just so that we're clear, that date had significance because why?
Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow met at a Preparing a People conference in St. George, Utah on October 26th, and that conference spanned the 26th, 27th, and 28th of October.
Is this the first known?
So if you guys know the story about that, so from what I heard, and I think it was in that stupid movie too that we watched on the channel, is that Melanie Gibb knew Chad in some way, and Lori had been reading Julie Rose, so I think the next step was to start reading Chad Daybell's books. And then she went to the conference to meet him like he was a celebrity and got introduced by Melanie Gibb. And then she worked his table or something of that nature. Tell me if that's on base, because I don't know. That's crazy. I actually lived in St. George twice. I love St. George. I have a special place in my heart for St. George. I worked at that Vasa in St. George when I was 18. I just loved being there. Just a cool spot, you know, different from anywhere I've ever lived before. Yeah. That's weird. You just meet somebody and you just immediately do it. Oh, you guys are getting the teaser. You guys are gonna get a teaser soon. We've actually had sicknesses in and out of town, all kinds of stuff going on. So you guys are getting it. How'd you know Bishop Shumway? That's crazy. Where'd his name pop up at? That's wild. I haven't heard that name in a long freaking time, bro. Oh, you're getting another Wings video, baby. If you guys are looking for the media company, it's called Timber and Wings. It's the channel that Brandon and I started for our media company. We got some really cool stuff coming out. We've got some interviews coming up. We've got a big reaction video to the Pink Pony Club. I finally told you outright that it's coming. That was not my idea, by the way. So that is what it is.
Electronic evidence of contact between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
It is.
So turning to the next, which is labeled SMS section, loriforstyle at iCloud.com. What are we seeing here?
This is a text string between Lori Vallow and Audrey Baratario that took place on January 23rd of 2019.
Okay. If you could read to us into the record what that text string was.
Yes. Line 2585. Hi, Audrey. This is Lori. I would love to talk to you sometime. Text me or call me. I'm excited to be able to talk to you about what we both know.
Listen, this is the video. Yes, this is the video. You get to watch Brandon's reaction to his own famous sealed away Pink Pony Club. And I promise you, I am just as interested as watching it. We're both going to be there. We're both going to watch it, but I'm going to be watching Brandon watching it and talking about it. A part of me just wants to sit back. So that's what we said. We said if we got 10,000 subs on Timber and Wings, we're going to do the video, and we're not lying. You're going to see it.
Line 2584. Oh, hi, Lori. Guess you talked to Chad. Ha ha. Line 2580. Did he tell you I have a crazy work schedule? I might be able to talk tonight. I'll have to play it by ear, but it wouldn't until ABT 9:30 p.m. or after. The same for tomorrow. Line 2578, Lori Vallow to Audrey Baratario. He did. That's okay. Just let me know when you are available. No pressure. I just think it's fun to talk to someone who knows what's really going on. Line 2576, reply from Audrey Baratario to Lori Vallow. So what times usually work for you? I usually talk to him on my lunch breaks in Mondays or Tuesdays. Sunday afternoons, I can talk.
It'll be posted
Agent,
over
the question-
on Timber and Wings if you guys want to see it.
Question is, this communication by the defendant with Audrey Baratario, what, if any, significance did it have to you?
The significance that it had to me is the reference to what Lori Vallow and Audrey Baratario both knew.
Why is that significant?
It's significant because Chad Daybell had disclosed to Audrey Baratario his plans to marry Lori Vallow.
And frick these tickets. We're all just going to portal onto the boat. All we got to do is just get on there. They're not going to know. We're going to start eating at the buffet, playing games. We're going to be this monstrous squad. And we just popped up. They didn't even know. They didn't even know it.
And did it also indicate anything about an establishment of a friendship or a relationship between Audrey and Lori?
Yes, Chad had told Audrey Baratario that his wife, Tammy Daybell, was going to die and that he and Lori were to be married, but he wanted Audrey to act as a buffer between he and Lori during the ensuing time period until Tammy Daybell died.
And does it indicate that Audrey Baratario was willing to engage in that friendship with Lori?
Based on the text string, yes.
Now, turning to an SMS text section in the Lori for Style at iCloud.com from March 20th, 2019. Can you explain to us what we're seeing here?
These are some texts that took place on March 20th of 2019 between Lori Vallow and Alex Cox.
Could you read those into the record, please?
Line 1842 from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox. I'm finding out some great stuff about you. I'm going to go do some ceilings. Can't wait to share all the
She's about to say, Woombi, swoomadoomadee.
things I learned about you. Wow. You're going to like it. It explains a lot. Line 1840, text from Alex Cox to Lori Vallow. Okay, hurry up, please. Line 1837, reply text from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox. I'm going to check everything with my source tonight to make sure I got this all right, but it's really good. We can talk about it tomorrow, hopefully.
My source, like you're a detective, like you're working on real things. You're in Delulu land, baby. You're like what's that freaking movie, bro, where they like dimension just zoom out into a whole nother world. I don't understand this. Her source, Chad.
Now, Agent, why did you include this in your summary?
During the course of the investigation, it became apparent that Chad Daybell acted as a quasi-religious leader and that Alex Cox was involved in the alleged conspiracy as it related to the deaths of the children and Tammy Daybell. And this is an instance where Lori Vallow is communicating to her brother Alex Cox regarding the things that she is learning about him. The reference to going to check with my source tonight, I believe, is a reference to Chad Daybell.
Objection calls for speculation.
That's overruled, but obviously you can go into that on cost.
Very good. Thank you.
Now, looking at this text, you indicated that Chad became a quasi-leader. Was there evidence to suggest why Lori Vallow would be communicating that to Alex Cox rather than just Chad?
There were occasions where Lori Vallow made direct communications regarding religious matters or religious concepts, but it was frequent and repetitive that Alex Cox, Melanie Boudreau, others would solicit Lori to check or inquire with Chad Daybell and then would return answers back to those individuals.
So she gate kept Chad and was the middleman. Because why? Because just Chad's holy. He doesn't got a phone. You can't call him up and he'll go, "Hello, sweet Melanie."
In context of the evidence from the iCloud and the other evidence in totality of the case, was there evidence on Lori Vallow's sort of position power with regard to those people in religious concepts?
Yes.
What was that position power and what evidence was there of that?
Her position was right next to Chad Daybell. The two of them were in an elevated position, and others would seek their counsel and advice as it related to alleged revelations and visions and so forth.
And in seeking that counsel or information, was there any evidence at times that Alex Cox or others would seek direction or instruction from Lori Vallow?
Yes.
And is that reflected in some of the text that you've provided in summary?
It is.
Was it is it reflected throughout both iCloud accounts and the overall account of Lori Vallow?
Yes, it is.
Literally.
Now, turning towards an SMS text from Lori for style at iCloud.com, can you tell us what we're looking at, from line 1763 through 1761?
This is another short text string between Alex Cox and Lori Vallow that took place on March 26th of 2019.
Okay. And could you read those lines into the record, please?
Yes. Line 1763, text from Alex Cox to Lori Vallow. Correct. Charles's body is alive. Line 1762 from Alex Cox to Lori Vallow. What did you learn? Line 1761 from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox. A lot. Still working on it. We'll call you later.
Mine was
Working on what? Like that's what I'm like, okay, so there's nobody really watching you. This is on your own free will to do this work that you're doing. And you are literally sitting here acting like you're busy. Doing what? Praying? What? Like, that's what doesn't make sense to me, is like, this was before anybody knew anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, this make-believe stuff was just them. They didn't do it for anybody else. They got into what's that thing? There's like a game where you like role play the whole game and like play chess or something like that. It's something like that. Like they're just doing it themselves. They're just role playing. It's just a big game.
this series of the SMS included in your summary?
These short texts actually contain a lot of information regarding what was taking place in the investigation.
How so?
Yeah. Chad Daybell had identified Charles Vallow as somebody who was a dark entity whose body had been possessed by any number of spirits, which were named with various names. And so this first text, when Alex Cox is reaching out to Lori Vallow, he's affirming that Charles Vallow's body, his physical body, is still alive, and inquiring what Lori Vallow had learned about that, which she replied she had learned a lot and would contact him later.
And so learned a lot. What does still working on it mean in context of the iCloud account and the overall investigation?
We see, or I saw, very frequent usage of that particular term. We are working on things, and that is a direct reference to this belief that they were in a battle against zombies and dark entities, and so when they would talk about working on something, they were making a reference to their efforts as related to that.
Let's give it one more hour, guys. One more hour.
This is misstating the evidence that's actually been put in.
I think it's beyond the scope of what's been entered, so I'll sustain that.
Okay. When you say they said working on it, was it often Lori Vallow herself saying working on it?
Yes.
Okay. And in your review of the text section in the MMS and the various iCloud accounts reflecting Lori Vallow's statements or state of mind, did you see evidence that her brother believed what she was saying?
Frequently.
Okay. Did you see evidence reflected that would show that Alex Cox was seeking input or direction from his sister with regard to the various potential bad spirits or people's physical body.
Yes.
Turning to the SMS section of lollytime@icloud.com, and I see a group of text from July 9th of 2019. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And I noticed that each of these slides have appeared chronological, and forgive me if I didn't ask. In preparing your summary, how did you put the various text into your summary?
I did that chronologically. So in the summary, you'll see we may move back and forth between LoriForStyle@iCloud.com and LollyTime@iCloud.com. For the most part, it's Lori for Style in the beginning and the ending of this summary exhibit, and most of the middle of it is taken from LollyTime@iCloud.com. But I placed all of the data chronologically.
Why?
I think that paints the most accurate picture of what was taking place as it relates to the communications. If you separate them out into various sections, then it becomes very fragmented. And I believe that chronologically, these events took place chronologically, so it made sense to arrange the exhibit chronologically.
Okay. And so we're seeing a text communication July 9th, 2019 between Lori Vallow and Melanie Boudreau. Is that correct?
Yes.
Could you read those into the record, please?
Yes. Line 3135 from Lori Vallow to Melanie Boudreau. They have an elaborate plan. I'll call you soon. Line 3134 from Melanie Boudreau to Lori Vallow. I could take all the babies with and drive and take our stuff. Line 3133 from Lori Vallow to Melanie Boudreau. You can't go at all. We both need to stay here to defend ourselves. Line 3132 from Lori Vallow to Melanie Boudreau. It's coming to a head. This week will change everything.
Okay. Why did you include that particular series of text from Lori Vallow in your summary?
Your Honor, the only way you can answer that is through hearsay evidence.
I'll sustain that objection.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I guess I don't understand the objection.
Your Honor, would the court like me to clarify?
Maybe approach sidebar, because I really don't understand.
Well, I'd like to have the question reread, please.
Okay.
All right, upon rehearing the question, I misheard that. I'll overrule that objection.
Thank you.
Apologies.
Thank you. Did you hear the question?
Do I have it repeated? I'm sorry. Okay. The timeline in this case is important. So this text string took place in the evening of July 9th, 2019, which is approximately 36 hours before Charles Vallow was killed. These texts are a reference to events surrounding that.
Okay.
And again, Judge, I'm going to object just for the record that
I do think it's pretty nuts, though, after just going through Charles's and Brandon's to hear everything brought up at once. I've said this a lot of times, but personally, I was saying, open the door, try to, let's see if we can talk about this other stuff in front of the jury. It's interesting that I just feel it's different because now you can use everything against them for everybody, which brings a lot more context probably for the jury too. It's like, holy crap, look at the scope of this.
the only way he could have gotten that information was specifically to Melanie Boudreau is through hearsay evidence from Melanie Boudreau.
All right, well, he's testified it's through information obtained through these iCloud accounts. So for that, because they've been
Oh,
omitted,
for
I'll
sure.
overrule
Look
the
at them out.
objection.
Thank you.
And so
I'll see what we can do for multiple colors and stuff like that.
the timing of this communication by Lori Vallow was significant to you in relation to the death of Charles Vallow.
Correct.
And in the text, it was a text from Lori Vallow. In her own words, it's coming to a head. This week will change everything.
Yes.
And when in context of the investigation and the overall review of the iCloud, what does it's coming to a head mean to you?
It's a reference to the marriage between Charles Vallow and Lori Vallow. Their marriage from the communications and the totality of the investigation had deteriorated substantially.
And I'll object to speculation that she's calling for him to speculate as to what these texts mean.
I'll sustain that.
Okay.
And ask to strike that from the record.
The final part of that answer will be stricken from the record based on the objection. The jury's instructed not to please consider that particular response.
So in your review of the evidence, in your review of the iCloud, did you learn from the defendant's own words that her marriage to Charles Vallow was deteriorated?
Yes,
Okay. In fact, I believe you earlier talked about that she characterized Charles Vallow as an obstacle. Is that correct?
Objection, that's argumentative, Judge.
Overruled.
it was actually Chad Daybell who used the phrase obstacles relating connect in connection with these individuals.
And so it's coming to a head, that statement from the defendant. Was there evidence within the iCloud that you reviewed, the defendant's own words, that reflected whether or not she wanted Charles Vallow out of her life as her husband?
Yes.
Okay. Let's turn to some additional text from Lonely Time on July 9th, 2019, reflected in the next slide. Could you please look at lines 3120 and 3072? Do you see those?
I do.
Could you read those into the record, please?
Yes. Line 3120 from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox. Getting sleepy, so I'm going to need you to stay close to me the next couple days. Mel too. She can't go to Utah. They are planking some kind of intervention, but want Mel out of the way, so I'm left alone. I need to come get the stuff at your house tomorrow and secure it. Lots to do. Thank you for standing
Secure what?
by me. It's all coming to a head this week. I will be like Nephi, I am told, and so will you. Line 3070.
So that's the theory. You guys catch that. In the LDS church and LDS lore, I don't really remember too much about Nephi, but he's supposed to go back and get the plates, which are like the Book of Mormon. And when he goes to get the Book of Mormon or those plates, something happens and he gets like kicked out and ran out of town. So they like come back, and him and his brothers come back, and then Nephi comes back on his own, finds the evil king named Laban, and he's laying on the ground. And then I guess Nephi is told by an angel to unalive him. That is what he's supposed to. He's told by God to take it. And so that way they can run in. He dresses up like the king and like gets the plates and freaking dishes, right? So you have to understand, when she tells Alex, they're both LDS in some way, I guess, at this point, or they use that whole idea of Nephi from the Book of Mormon to say to each other. So I think that's why that's insignificant. But she said, you and I. Now, again, I hate to just throw theories out there, but after I heard what happened to my dad, I theorized that Alex was the one who shot him initially, but I think that she did the second shot. And that's because you and I, that just reconfirms what I was thinking, is that you and I would definitely be a joint effort. What would make Lori like Nephi had she not slain Laban? You know what I'm saying? Why would it be you and I if it was only Alex? That's all. That's the only reason I keep feeling that way. I don't know how to get rid of that feeling. I can't get past that idea. I could be completely wrong, but I have a feeling she watched it, she participated, and that's what it is. That's what I think. That whole made-up story about running out without your shoes, but you have shoes on, this was very clear what she just said, especially in the context of Nephi. So she called them both Nephi. Nephi didn't just run. He actually slayed the king.
2, text from Lori Vallow to Melanie Boudreau. Al is here. Charles says he will come over in the morning.
Why did you include these particular texts from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox and Melanie Boudreau in your summary?
Your Honor, I'll object that these takes things out of context. He specifically stated that he is going in line by line, and it looks like there's almost 100 lines between these two texts.
I'll overrule the objection, and I think it's appropriate for cross-examination.
Very good, thank you.
I'm sorry, the question was, why did you include these particular text communications from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox and Melanie Boudreau in your summary?
Thanks, McSpunky.
During the course of the investigation, we found out that Adam Cox, another brother of Lori Vallow, had flown in conjunction with Charles Vallow to.
I'll never say anything about my sister, but I know she was probably terrified. I don't know what the plan was, but I don't know. I don't know what that was. I don't know what anything happened. I don't know how you could keep your brain on if that happened in real life.
Try to approach Lori regarding the things that were taking place. And so that's why I included these communications.
Okay. And turning to line 3120, I will be like Nephi, I am told, and so will you. In your review of the evidence and
90% of the time she's referring to being told, it's probably Chad. That's no vision voice or anything. It's literally Chad. I'm starting to realize how much of a spiritual player they really believe that he was.
your research on the items of relevance in the iCloud account, what is Nephi?
Nephi is the name of an ancient prophet whose life is documented or chronicled in a book of scripture called the Book of Mormon. And so he is one of that book of scripture spans from 600 BC to roughly 400 AD. And Nephi is one of the first prophets that is documented in that particular book.
Okay. And the phrase, I will be like Nephi, other than an ancient prophet, was there significance to the investigation that merited review in the use of the word Nephi as applied to Lori Vallow and Alex Cox?
Objection calls for speculation. He's already indicated that Nephi is found throughout the Book of Mormon, which is hundreds of pages long.
I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you.
In terms of
why would she reference Nephi is the question. So how are you combating that? Why is Nephi being like Nephi significant? We just talked about it 2 seconds ago.
Lori's use in her own words, identifying herself as Nephi, what were the situations involving Nephi that were relevant to the investigations?
Objection calls for speculation.
I think there need to be some additional foundation. You're going to go into that term and what it means in the context of these communications.
Okay. So in terms of foundation, are you aware of historical attributes or story significance to the prophet Nephi?
I am.
Okay. What were the historic accounts related to the prophet Nephi?
Okay, objection vague. There are hundreds of stories about Nephi.
That's overruled.
Thank you.
If the witness knows, the witness can answer.
The primary one relates to an incident where Nephi was commanded by God to slay an individual named Laban.
Your Honor, I'm going to object as this is speculative.
It's not speculative. It's actually from the Book of Mormon, exactly what they're referring to, motherfricka.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, you can keep going. You said it was about Nephi was commanded to slay Laban.
Yes.
And what was the rest of that particular historic accounting of the prophet Nephi?
Simply put, Laban was in possession of records that Nephi and his family wanted to possess before they left Jerusalem. And Nephi was commanded by God to slay Laban to obtain those records.
And so Laban was Laban considered a good guy or a bad?
By the way, just to give you more context, they believe that Alex was that angel that showed up multiple times to specifically Nephi. He was an angel. Alex was an angel at some point. And showed up and did a bunch of stuff for Nephi in the Book of Mormon. So they just wrote Alex in. They just wrote him in as you are that person. Wild.
Okay.
Bad guy.
Again, Your Honor, based on his response to the question, I believe it's
Hey,
irrelevant.
dude, shut up. Sorry for just shut up, bro.
And it specifically doesn't have anything to do with the crime that's charged here, and it doesn't even correlate.
Yes, it does.
Well, there's a reference to the term in the text, and I'll allow a little more on this, but it's getting outside the scope of, I think, what's relevant. Very quick here, Ms. Smith.
The defendant herself likened herself to Nephi, correct?
Yes.
And the defendant likened Alex Cox to Nephi, correct?
Yes.
And if I understand correctly, Nephi was commanded to kill Laban.
That's correct.
I'm going to object as to vague. Nephi was commanded to do lots of things.
Overruled.
And the date that the defendant likens herself to Nephi was July 9th, 2019.
Yes.
She also told Alex he was like Nephi, correct?
Yes.
And in the text communication from Lori Vallow to Melanie Boudreau, did Lori Vallow indicate on July 10th, 2019, that Alex Cox was with her?
Yes.
Okay. Now, defense counsel pointed out, and we were going to chat about this in a minute, I noticed that there's a line number and a date, and then it appears to have a different line number and a different date in your summary.
I know you guys don't need more context here. There's no doubt that they planned it, but him splitting the night at all is the biggest red flag.
Why didn't you include every text between those two?
If I included every text between the two accounts, we would be at well over 8,000 text messages. And so I chose those texts that I felt were in context and were relevant. But oftentimes there would be 3 or 4 people texting with Lori Vallow at the same time, and some of those texts in between have no relevance whatsoever to this case. Other texts were very redundant. We see the same type of communication over and over and over again. And so I chose those text messages that I believed were relevant to this case and was cautious not to prepare this summary exhibit where I'm taking things out of context.
Okay. And if you included every text, it really wouldn't be a summary, would it?
No, it wouldn't.
Okay. Now, turning towards some chats that were in Lori for Style, can you tell us what we're seeing next on slide 7?
Yes, this is so a chat in the iCloud account generally was amongst multiple individuals, and the chat would contain numerous or could contain numerous texts. This is a chat between Lori Vallow, Cole Vallow, and Zach Vallow. Cole Vallow and Zach Vallow are Charles Vallow's sons.
Okay. And this is communication.
They definitely do not have the pop filters. So this has a built-in pop filter. There's also an external that goes over this. It stops the P's and the loud noises and your air to just pass through it.
From Lori Vallow in that chat?
Correct.
Okay. Could you please read into the records the communications that Lori Vallow had and to whom?
Certainly. So July 12th, 2019. Hi, boys. I have very sad news. Your dad passed away yesterday. I'm working on making arrangements, and I'll keep you informed with what's going on. I'm still not sure how to handle things. Just want you to know that I love you, and so did your dad.
About her. She kills him. Sorry. Try not to say that on here. Got too many warnings from everybody. She unalives on purpose, I guess we'll put it that way, Charles, and then sends a cold text about how it's so hard for her. She doesn't know what to do, but love you, care about you. Just drops that text. No context, nothing. Just dad died today. We love you so much. I'll tell you what's going on. Thank you, Don. Crazy. Oh, don't be no. Now you're making fun of my guns. Come on. Now he's just making me. Now he's just laughing at me.
At 3:41 p.m. on the same date. Lori, what happened? 3:43 p.m. We are still waiting for the ME report. I'll let you know more when I can. 5:54 p.m.
Really?
Lori, what the fuck happened? You can't just tell us dad died and disappeared. You're not too busy to just let us know he died and disappear.
Why did you include this particular series of chats in your summary?
For timeline purposes, this series of communications took place the day following Charles Vallow's death, and it is indicative of the communication from Lori Vallow to Charles Vallow's sons regarding their father's death. But
it's the coldest thing I've ever heard, bro. Just sends a text, doesn't answer calls, won't provide context, talks about how hard it is for her. She just took him out.
Includes the manner of death.
Now, let's move ahead. In terms of within a few hours of that on July 13th, could you tell us what we're seeing in the SMS section of Rally Time at iCloud.com?
Yes, this is a series of texts between Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, and ultimately Melanie Boudreau, subsequent to Charles Vallow's death. Brandon Boudreau, Melanie Boudreau's husband, brought an individual to the house to talk with Melanie. And this series of texts is in regards to that person.
And Lori Vallow was a part of this text communication, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And it was a text communication between Lori and Chad and included Melanie Boudreau.
correct.
Okay. Could you please read those into the record?
Yes. Line 3002 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I will check all Bloomer and husband. Line 3001
What?
from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Good idea. Line 3000 from Chad Daybell
What?
to Lori Vallow. Allie Bloomer is 4.1 dark. Her cop husband is 3 dark.
Allie Bloomer and her cop husband? Who are we talking about? I'm super confused right now. Who are they referring to?
Suppose Brandon doesn't know yet about the discovered Charles's texts. Line 2996 from Lori Vallow to Melanie Boudreau. Allie Bloomer's husband, 3, and then a dark emoji.
And so these texts, involving Chad, Lori, and then ultimately Melanie Boudreau were between 9:30 p.m. and around 10:05 p.m. on the 13th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And why did you include these texts between that time in your summary?
I included them because they demonstrate that anyone who tried to intercede was identified as dark.
I don't understand
I
how.
don't want to object. That's speculative, and we're now getting into the weeds.
Also say that, and
This is not Allie Bloomer over here, even though it says Allie B. I promise that's not her.
wish to have the answer stricken, I presume.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, the previous answer will be stricken, not be considered by the jurors.
So did you have it in context of the iCloud? Did it reflect who Allie Bloomer?
Allie Bloomer and her husband. Who in the hell are they talking about?
was?
Allie Bloomer was a friend of Melanie Boudreau.
Okay. And Allie
Excuse
Bloomer.
me, Brandon Boudreau.
Okay. And did you learn whether or not Allie Bloomer had approached Melanie Boudreau about her situation with Lori Vallow?
It was Brandon
Objection, hearsay,
Boudreau.
Judge.
Overruled.
Thank you.
It was Brandon Boudreau who brought Allie Bloomer and her husband, who was a police officer, over to the house to talk to Melanie Boudreau.
And then this text communication reflects reaching out by Lori Vallow and Chad.
Over to confront her about what she was doing, trying to knock some sense into her and save his marriage. But now they are dark.
Vallow and ultimately to Melanie Boudreau about the sort of status of Allie Bloomer and her husband.
Correct. Those two individuals visited the Boudreau residence, and they were identified as dark.
Yep.
Now, sticking within this same time frame, within a day and a half of Charles Vallow's deaths, there were other text or SMS that you considered relevant?
Yes.
Can you tell us what we're seeing as reflected in line 2967 from July 13th?
Yes, this is a text between Chad Daybell or a text from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow regarding plans for the two of them to get together.
Can you please read that?
Yes. Line 2967. Concerning the 2 weeks, BYU Idaho's graduation is July 23rd. Adam is getting his bachelor's, and Leah and Joe are getting their associates.
Who the hell's Leah, Joe, and who are those people?
They are all walking in the same commencement ceremony. I feel she will be gone by then, but I will still have that hoopla to deal with because a lot of my and Adam's family are coming and will stay for July 24th.
Who the hell is Adam? Why am I so out of the loop? I'm not understanding the context here.
So I believe that's why the Lord hinted I might not get to be with you until that is over. Please ask about that.
And were there additional text associated with that conversation?
Yes.
Are we seeing those on the next slide?
There's a series, the next
No.
few slides, I believe.
It must be a different Adam. I'm confused.
Okay. If you could, what's the next date and time of that text in this series of communication between Chad and Lori?
July 14th of 2019.
Could you read the text into the record, please?
Yes. Line 2962 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Good morning, my most beautiful Lily. Thanks for joining me in the shower this morning. Wow.
Oh, shut the frick up. Damn. Hell no. Hell no. Oh, I'm a vomit. Man, get the frick out of here, bro.
Getting ready to leave for my meetings. Does noon your time look like a time we could talk? I love you so immensely that the whole universe knows it, and very soon the people
Corny ass dude. Man, he thought he was slick as hell, too. I love you so much, goddess. The whole universe knows how I feel. Yeah, the effing balls of gas that are stars up there. Yeah, the whole universe that is not alive. What the hell you on?
on this little blue globe will know it too. Line
You are not slick.
2961. Morning sunshine. Sure. Call me if you get a chance. And that's from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell.
So hold on, morning sunshine. Didn't y'all just take a shower? Oh, hell no.
And let's move to I believe this is the rest of the series.
It is the rest of the series, but then it gets into also another aspect of the iCloud accounts.
If we could finish the series and then we'll go back and finish this aspect, is that okay?
I'm not doing the scenes. I'm skipping this motherfricker. You better tell me.
Okay. So the last in the series would be 2935 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I love you so much. You are my greatest desire and my best friend. Now on with the story.
So turning back.
No shot. Oh, hell no. I'm not listening to it. You won't catch me listening to this BS. What's the story, though? Is this the story? Is this it? I'm not going to listen to some freaking 50 Shades of Grey starring Chad Daybell. No, thank you. Oh, please tell me they skip over this. Please tell me they skip over this. I will not. I swear to you, I'm not going to do it.
Back to what began with the series. Why did you include this series of text communications from Chad and to Lori and vice versa?
I included this due to the reference that Chad Daybell stated, I feel she will be gone by then. And then at the end, I believe that's why the Lord hinted I might not.
So they took a shower together in the morning. Where? At her house? What the hell are we talking about here?
Get to be with you until that is over.
I can't be with you, but you can cheat.
What relevance did it have in terms of your review of the iCloud and the evidence overall?
The reference to
What? It didn't actually happen? What does that even mean? Thanks for joining me in the shower on the phone. That's literally worse. That's worse.
Daybell being gone and the ability for Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow to be together at a future point.
I'm going to object to speculation and ask that it be stricken.
I'll sustain that.
So following up on that, had you seen previous texts and communications or heard from witnesses that Chad Daybell had told people Tammy Daybell was going to die?
From witnesses that were interviewed, yes, we heard repeatedly that Chad Daybell had told numerous persons that Tammy Daybell
Objection, that's hearsay, Judge.
That's a, go ahead, Ms. Smith.
Thank you. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. If you want to argue in response to the.
Oh,
All right, guys, we're going to pause here. I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for the rest of this. You guys can need if you've seen this, please have my back here. At least give me a forewarning so I don't walk into this. I swear to you, I'm not listening to these nasty people talk nonsense to each other. I will flip this thing off quicker than a hurry. Hell no, am I listening to him? It's a portal. Not a portal. Not a portal party. Not a portal party. I can't do that. I'm not listening to this. That's nasty as hell. On with the story. Get the frick out of here, bro. You are not slick with this. Man. All right. So that being said, we will get started again tomorrow. The rest of this, what we got left? 4 hours left. Maybe we'll just knock this freaking thing out tomorrow. Just do it all. We don't need to do 3 parts. We'll just knock out the 4 hours. Yeah, my mind's all over the place. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll put up the announcement for all of you. I don't have an exact time yet. If I can do, I'll just put up a thumbnail for you guys and then announce it for you guys too. You guys know I appreciate you and love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting, liking, subscribing. You guys are awesome. And everybody, just so you know, when you subscribe, like, we really want you to feel like a part of the family. We have our Discords. They're both private, but I mean, like, even with you guys being here and having this back and forth is amazing. And you guys help me. I just don't feel alone doing this stuff. So I really appreciate it. I love your guys' insights. I love your comedy. I love it all. So appreciate you. Love you. See you guys tomorrow. We're going to knock this out. And we got the rest of the week to keep going. So love you guys. Have a great day or night, wherever you are in the world. See you tomorrow.